Hello, Muslim friends of the world. In a small town called Harmonyville, in the heart of the United States, lived 6 pastors renowned for their steadfast faith and dedication to their community. They came from different Christian denominations but were united in the spirit of service and love. Pastor Michael, the keeper of tradition. Pastor Michael was a Baptist minister who had served for over 30 years. With his graying hair, he was known as a figure of wisdom and prudence. Every Sunday morning, his church was filled with congregants eager for deep biblical teachings. Pastor Michael always emphasized the importance of family and communal prayer, making his church a sanctuary for many. Sister Clara, the servant of the needy. Sister Clara was a Catholic nun who dedicated her life to helping the homeless and those in need. With an ever-present smile, she managed the town's soup kitchen and founded a shelter for single mothers. "True love is giving without expecting anything in return," was a phrase she often shared. Reverend James, the bringer of hope. Reverend James was a Methodist pastor famous for his spirited and optimistic sermons. He believed that faith should be manifested through action. As such, he led a rehabilitation program for former inmates, helping them find jobs and reintegrate into society. "There's no sin too great for God to forgive," he once said, inspiring many to start anew. Pastor Elena, the youth motivator. Pastor Elena, a Pentecostal pastor, was an energetic and charismatic figure. She managed youth ministry programs, including summer camps, spiritual concerts, and social activities. With a guitar in hand, she often led worship with lively songs, encouraging the younger generation to draw closer to God. Father Anthony, the reconciler. Father Anthony, an Orthodox priest, had a unique charisma. He was often called upon to mediate family conflicts or community disputes. With gentle words and a profound understanding of the Scriptures, he helped people find peace. Reconciliation is part of Christ's mission, was a principle he held dear. Deacon Samuel, the field worker. Deacon Samuel of the Lutheran Church was better known on the streets than at the pulpit. He led humanitarian missions in Harmonyville, building homes for impoverished families and delivering aid to disaster-stricken areas. He believed the church should be God's hands and feet, actively working in society. Despite their different church backgrounds, the 6 pastors frequently gathered to discuss and plan joint activities. One of their largest projects was the Harmonyville Unity Festival, held annually. The festival featured spiritual seminars, worship concerts, and charitable activities involving the entire community. Through their ministries, the town of Harmonyville became an example of how differences in belief need not hinder unity in God's love. These 6 pastors showed that faithfulness is measured not only by prayers and sermons but also by tangible acts of service to others. One summer, 5 of the pastors, Pastor Michael, Sister Clara, Reverend James, Pastor Elena, and Father Anthony, decided to embark on a journey across various states in America. They aimed to deepen their friendships, learn about cultural diversity, and explore how different communities practice their faith. As their journey brought them to a large city on the outskirts of Texas, they passed by a magnificent mosque bustling with life. By chance, it was time for prayer, and the call to prayer echoed through the mosque's loudspeakers. The beautiful chant left them all in silence. Through the car window, they watched people of all ages, men and women, hurrying toward the mosque. They abandoned their work, activities, and even opened shops, all to heed the call to worship. Reverend James, usually brimming with optimism, broke the silence inside the car. "Look at that. They answer God's call without hesitation. Don't you think this is something we rarely see in our own communities?" Pastor Michael nodded slowly, gazing at the mosque in the distance. "True. In our churches, when the bells ring on Sunday morning, many people ignore them. They're too busy with worldly things. And look at them, so disciplined and dedicated. They pray 5 times a day, no matter the place or time." "That's incredible," Sister Clara added, her voice trembling with emotion. Pastor Elena, usually preoccupied with youth ministry, sighed. "Our generation, especially the youth, has started losing their passion for worship. They'd rather stare at their phone screens than kneel in prayer." Father Anthony, known for his contemplative nature, finally spoke. "Perhaps this is a call for us to learn something new. There's no harm in understanding how they maintain their relationship with God." After a long discussion, they decided to stop at the mosque. Politely, they approached an elderly man sitting outside. They introduced themselves as religious leaders from various churches and expressed their admiration for the dedication of the Muslims they had just witnessed. The old man smiled warmly and said, "The adhan is God's call to us. It reminds us not to forget our ultimate purpose in life, to serve Him. We are but His servants, and He is our master." This conversation blossomed into a profound discussion about faith. The 5 pastors were struck by the simplicity and steadfastness of Islamic teachings. They began to understand the concept of tawhid, the oneness of God, the discipline of prayer, and the importance of entrusting all matters to Allah. From that day, the 5 pastors started exploring Islam more deeply. They read translations of the Quran, listened to lectures about the faith, and even attended interfaith discussions at various mosques. Each experience further ignited their curiosity. Reverend James was particularly moved by the concept of tawhid. It's like stripping away all the complexity in the relationship between humans and God. There is only one God, and He alone deserves our worship, he reflected. Sister Clara was inspired by the teachings on zakat, almsgiving, and social responsibility in Islam. It's not just about spiritual worship, but also about the obligation to help others. That is the essence of true love, she remarked. Pastor Elena began introducing the principles of Islamic discipline to her youth ministry. "If we could learn even a fraction of their consistency, our community would draw closer to God," she explained. Their journey of learning Islam was not without challenges. They faced questions from their own communities and doubts from within. Yet, they also discovered a beauty and peace they had never experienced before. After months of delving into Islam and experiencing the tranquility of its teachings, the 5 former pastors, Pastor Michael, Sister Clara, Reverend James, Pastor Elena, and Father Anthony, felt a strong urge not only to live by the truth they had discovered but also to share it with their congregations. This decision was far from easy. They knew that announcing their conversion to Islam could provoke a range of reactions, from disappointment to anger. However, their faith in Allah gave them the courage to proceed. On a Sunday morning, they agreed to stand before their congregations and share the monumental news. That day, their churches were filled with worshipers unaware that the sermons would forever change the course of their communities. Standing before the congregation he had served for over 30 years, Pastor Michael began his address with a voice that was steady yet tender. "My beloved brothers and sisters," he began, "throughout my life, I have dedicated myself to seeking the truth and teaching love to you all. On this journey, God has led me to something I never fully understood before, Islam." Whispers filled the room, but Pastor Michael continued, "I studied the Quran, observed how Muslims live, and felt an indescribable connection to the one true God. This has not been an easy decision, but my heart can no longer turn away from the truth I have found. Today, with humility, I want to tell you that I have embraced Islam. Soft sobs came from one of the congregation members close to him, while others looked shocked. Still, he continued confidently, "This is not a farewell. This is a call for all of us to always seek the truth. I still love all of you and will continue to pray for you." At her church, filled with the needy and the homeless, Sister Clara stood with a calm smile. She looked at her congregation, a group of vulnerable individuals she had always served with love. "My beloved brothers and sisters, I have dedicated my life to serving you because I believe love is at the core of our relationship with God. On my journey, God led me to Islam, a faith that teaches love, justice, and total devotion to Him." Some appeared confused, but Sister Clara continued, "I have found a peace I had never experienced before. Islam has not only given me new meaning in worship but has also strengthened my mission to serve others. I have embraced Islam, and I hope you do not see this as an end, but as a continuation of my love for you." Reverend James, always brimming with enthusiasm, stood at the pulpit with a gentle smile. "Today, I speak to you as someone who has found new hope," he began. He recounted his spiritual journey, explaining how he learned about Islam and discovered the beauty of Tawhid. "Islam has taught me to rely solely on Allah, the one true God, and to live a life of complete accountability to Him. This is the path I now believe to be the truth." Some in the congregation cried, while others looked angry. Yet James closed with, "I still love you, and I pray that you too may find the peace I have discovered." The reactions of their congregations varied. Some cried, feeling they had lost their spiritual leaders. Others grew angry, feeling betrayed. Yet there were those who were curious, drawn to learn more about Islam because of the deep respect they held for their pastors. A small number of congregants even approached them after the sermons, eager to understand more about what they had learned. Discussions began to unfold, and some members of the congregations also started to study Islam deeply. News of their announcements quickly went viral, shaking Christian communities across America. The 5 former pastors remained steadfast. They began forming a new Muslim community, supporting converts, and continuing their outreach with gentleness and love. Their story inspired many, proving that truth always finds its way into hearts that sincerely seek it. They demonstrated that the greatest transformation in a person's life occurs when they find the true path to God.